and justice for all.
Ross, you got to get it in there.
All right. Move the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. There is no special presentation tonight, although I feel I've been involved in one for the past 30 minutes. So with that being said, we now come to our order of business for our city council. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
What's approved?
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Now, Madam Clerk, we're getting ready to move down to ordinances on final reading. Madam Clerk, let's start with 5A.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 121 Honest Street from C2 Convenience Commercial Zone to M2 Light Industrial Zone.
Councilman Gilbert.
Move to approve.
Councilwoman Burrs.
I'm sorry, sir. I had my hand raised from before.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Second. Okay. All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Hey, Mr.
Opposed is
Chair,
nay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
a point of order. I believe the order of business, we have to take a roll call vote in a virtual meeting like this. Is that correct, Phil?
You are absolutely right. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Vice Chairman. We got to back up a couple. Madam Clerk, would you please do a roll call for attendance?
Yes. Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert.
Yes.
Councilman Byrd.
Yes.
Councilman Henderson.
Yes.
Councilman Ledford.
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell.
Yes.
What, I don't get to vote today? I mean,
I was trying to see how many I had so far. Yes, Councilwoman Coonrod.
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Present.
All right, that was unanimous.
Okay, got 9 folks in present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Burrs, we're going to back up. I know you had something before I actually read 5A. Would you have something you'd like to say?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I noticed that we have a number of attendees besides ourselves. And as budget chair, I felt because we were making a lot of decisions tonight that involved a lot of money, that it was probably wise for me to say that while this has been going on, this challenge we've had, we've been keeping a close eye on the budget, or I have as chair. And I just want to say that the city now is in a good, strong financial position. People shouldn't be concerned. I guess it's due to Daisy's conservative policies, and we shouldn't be afraid to make substantive, reasoned decisions. So the rest of my report will be later in the meeting, but I do know there had been a lot of concern voiced, and we're solid, we're in good shape, and we can afford to be nimble and meet the needs as are defined by us, by the leadership, and by our constituents. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, somebody in our chat, they're being real disrespectful.
Yeah, I'm working on it, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Councilman Smith is he's got this. Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to go back to ordinances on final read. 5B.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 604 Watts Avenue from R1 residential zone to M2 light industrial zone.
Councilman Gilbert. This is in your district.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Ledford. Any further discussion? All in favor by the sign of aye.
Roll call.
Opposed?
Roll
Need to
call.
do the roll call.
A roll call? Okay. Roll call.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Byrd, is that you?
No.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries. Madam Clerk, let's go to 5C.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to lift condition warehouse use only from ordinance number 8739 of previous case number 1986-302 from property located at 4001 Rossville Avenue, more particularly described herein, subject to certain conditions.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman Ledford.
since this is in your district with no opposition from you, I'd like to move to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. I have none. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there is some very offensive language coming across our Zoom group chat. I would
Carol,
like that
Carol,
gotten rid of.
I'm doing what I can.
Okay. Councilman Smith is working on that. Thank you, Councilwoman. Madam Clerk, let's go to D, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 3000, 3006, and 3012 Rossville Boulevard from C2 Convenience Commercial Zone to M2 Light Industrial Zone.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
since this is in your district with no opposition, I move to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. It's moved and been properly seconded by Councilwoman Coonrod. Any further discussions? All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, roll call.
Roll call.
Chairman, do you have a problem if I switch the order in the roll call?
No, whatever your pleasure.
All right,
I
I'll
have
start at the end. Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. 5F, Madam Clerk.
This should be E.
E? Okay, E.
An ordinance
You're
to amend- An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located in the 1300 through 1500 block of Workman Road, 4400 block of Walt Hall Avenue, and 4400 block of Divine Avenue from R2 residential zone to M1 manufacturing zone.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
being no
Councilman Ledford.
opposition, being no opposition from you, sir, I move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor by the sign, roll call. Yep.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. 5F, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 5500 St. Elmo Avenue from C5 Neighborhood Commercial Zone to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman Ledford.
since this is in your district, no opposition, move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor by the sign of aye.
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 No,
Roll call.
Opposes? Oh, roll call. Roll call.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby,
Yes.
it's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. 5G, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 1010 Georgia Avenue from UCX6 Urban Commercial Mixed Use Zone, 6 stories maximum height, to DCX6 Downtown Core Commercial Mixed Use Zone, 6 stories maximum height.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby,
Yes.
it's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Now we'll move on to ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk, let's read 6A.
An ordinance de-annexing a certain parcel adjacent to the current city limits, which is located at 2815 Military Road within the city of Chattanooga and Hamilton County, Tennessee.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it's my understanding, with this being a public hearing, that we need to defer this item for 2 weeks.
That is correct.
So I make a motion to defer till April the 14th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to defer till April 14th. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby,
Yes.
that's 9 yeses.
Okay, 9-0 to defer until April the 14th. Thank you, Council. Madam Clerk, let's read 6B.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a sewer easement within 2 closed unnamed streets rights of way abandoned by ordinance number 4021 located in the 3000 block of Broad Street, tax map number 155 FC001 as detailed on the attached map.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
being in your district, I would like to move approval if that's all right with you.
that would be fine. I like that very much.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Thank you. Motion carries 9-0. Let's move on now to 6C.
An ordinance closing and abandoning partially the right-of-way of the northwest and northeast corner of 4th Street, southeast corner of 3rd Street and Cherry Street, southwest corner of 3rd Street and Walnut Street, as detailed on the attached map subject to certain conditions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is in your district. With your consent, I will move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilwoman Coonrod. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Thank you very much, team. That concludes our ordinances on final and first reading. Now we'll move on to resolutions. Madam Clerk, let's start with 7A.
A resolution designating June 19th of each year as Juneteenth Independence Day in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in recognition of June 19, 1865, the date that has become widely associated with the emancipation of slavery in the United States.
Councilman Gilbert, followed by Councilwoman Coonrod.
Since she's the one that brought this to attention, let her go first, please.
Sure. Councilwoman
Move to-
Coonrod.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Of course, yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Absolutely yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Okay, motion carries 9-0. Councilwoman Coonrod, thank you for providing the leadership to make this happen.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay. Now, let's go on to 7B.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Cromwell Development 1 LLC in substantially the form attached for a term of 1 year with the option to renew for 3 additional terms of 1 year each for the use of the gymnasium at Cromwell Hills Apartments to operate programs for youth, young adults, and families on the property located at 3940 Camellia Drive.
Councilman Gilbert.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Let's do a roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs, Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
9 yeses.
Okay. Motion carries 9-0. Okay. D, please.
Well,
No,
I've
C.
got C.
C, okay.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Chattanooga Housing Authority in substantially the form attached for a term of 1 year with the option to renew for 3 additional terms of 1 year each for the use of Sheila Jennings Wellness Center to operate programs for youth and young adults and families on the property located at 1201 Poplar Street.
Don't everybody rush.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded finally by Councilwoman Byrd. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please, let's get this roll call out of the way.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
There's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Move on now to Resolution 7D.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a premises use agreement with Chattanooga Hockey, Inc. in substantially the form attached for the use of a portion of 1785 Reggie White Boulevard, identified as tax map number 145KE001.01, for a term of 1 year with an option to renew for 2 additional terms of 1 year each.
Move to
Chair.
approve.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Thank you all again. Now, Madam Clerk, let's go to E. 7E.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a multi-year license agreement in substantially the form attached with AC Entertainment LLC for Moon River Festivals beginning February 1, 2020 and continuing until September 30, 2022.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
move approval. Second.
it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Great. Motion carries 9-0. Now, let's move on to short-term vacation rentals, starting with F.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00187 for property located at 1609 Long Street, number 102.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Vice Chairman.
it's my understanding that notice went out that this would be publicly heard on the 7th of April.
That is correct.
So at this time, I move to defer until April the 7th.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, should
Yes.
we take all of these together since they do apply? Phil, is that all right?
Yes, sir. If we may, since there are 3 items on the list tonight for short-term rentals, I think the notification has gone out to all of these folks to come in on April the 7th. We did not think that the first meeting on Zoom would be the best one to do this, since it was a meeting for that. So that has been requested, at least, that those 3 items be heard on April the 7th.
Should we go
Okay,
ahead and read them? Should we read them into the minutes then?
Yeah, absolutely. So Madam Clerk, if you will read the next 2 items, let me see this.
G and H.
G and H, and then we'll package them and vote on them at that time.
Okay.
So please read G and H, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00184 for property located at 1420 Madison Street. H, a resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 20 STVR 00001 for property located at 1721 West 39th Street.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to amend my original motion to include G and H.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilman Smith, for pointing it out. All in favor by the sign of aye?
Roll
I
call.
mean,
Roll
wait a
call.
minute. Yeah, roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yeah.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Okay, motion carries 9-0. Okay, now let's move on to information technology. I.
A resolution authorizing the Chief Information Officer, CIO, to enter into a blanket agreement with Hendricks Commercial Properties, LLC, in response to the transfer of ownership of the Edney Innovation Building from DEW Edney, LLC, to Hendricks Commercial Properties, LLC, beginning January 24, 2020, and valid through November 30, 2021, mirroring the city's previous agreement with DEW Edney, LLC, with an annual spend limit not to exceed $170,000 per contract year.
Mr. Chair.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion on item I? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Absolutely.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Great. Motion carries 9-0. Okay, let's now move on. We have a couple of items under legal. Let's start with J.
A resolution amending resolution number 29963 to add the law firm of Butler Snow LLP and authorizing the office of the city attorney to engage said law firm for legal services in corporate, transactional, intellectual property, and administrative matters for the remainder of FY 2020 up through June 30, 2020.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moving properly seconded. Sound like Councilman Byrd. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0.
Chair,
Yes, Councilman Gilbert.
are we using a raised hand or are we not using a raised hand today?
Well, we kind of improvise in some. What do you need?
I'm just asking.
Oh, okay. Well, so far I hadn't seen a hand raised on my panelist sheet.
You see this?
I see it now.
Okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't up there before.
Yes, it was.
Okay. We got it. We rolling. Item K.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an interlocal agreement with the city of Red Bank adjusting the boundaries in accordance with TCA Section 651-302 for a vacant parcel of land adjacent to Pine Breeze Road, so that it will be maintained and be included in the corporate boundaries of the city of Red Bank from the effective date of this attached interlocal agreement forward.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, oh, go ahead.
Okay, we have Councilman Mitchell followed by Vice Chairman Henderson.
Move approval.
Ooh.
Vice Chairman Henderson.
Mr. Chair, I was going to state that the city attorney in our earlier meeting this morning suggested that we defer this for 2 weeks in order to get some more language added to the agreement.
I withdraw my motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion withdrawn.
Mr. Chair?
District 2, Mr. Chair, so I would have liked to have known about that. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chair, can I speak?
Yes, you can. Yeah, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Councilman Mitchell, I had asked for the district to have been put on there this morning and it never got added. I wasn't sure if it was mine or yours. So I apologize.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Yes, you can, yeah.
I've never known Councilman Henderson to not take care of District 2. Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Okay, well said. Okay, we have a motion on the floor while everybody's still loving each other to defer it. What's the deferral?
Well, April the
Vice Chairman?
14th.
April 14th.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to defer it till April the 14th. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a second. Any further discussion? Please no. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's do a roll call on this deferral.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd, Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Okay, 9-0 to defer until April the 14th. Mr. City Attorney, would you please make sure that District 2 is put on there so we don't run into any border wars next week?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll include a map to make sure we're absolutely on point. Yes, sir.
Okay, to make sure that it is in District 2. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. No border wars here.
No, sir.
Okay. Madam Clerk, we have a number of resolutions from the mayor's office. So let's start with L.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Carolyn Hetzler to the Form-Based Code Committee.
Move to approve.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Chairman
Um,
Oglesby.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I have a question of the
Sure.
city attorney.
Okay.
Mr. City Attorney, is there any need, unless there's some objection, to read all of these and approve them?
They are each separate resolutions. You could take them as a group and move as a body to improve them all, much like you did on the short-term rentals, if that would help you in connection with this.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I would like for us to do that. Do you need a motion to do that, or can you by gavel
we-
do that?
I'll just instruct the clerk to read them all like we did the short-term vacation rentals, and then we'll vote on them at the end, unless somebody has a question about anyone prior to us making that motion. So
Thank you, sir.
if there's no objections, Madam Clerk, let's read M through Q. Starting with M.
Yes. A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointments of John F. Brennan and Thomas Palmer to the Historic Zoning Commission. N, a resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Vivian Barrera to the General Pension Board. O, a resolution to confirm the mayor's reappointment of John Ford to the EPB Board. P, a resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Beverly Bell to the Form-Based Code Committee. Q, a resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Harriet Stokes to the Airport Authority Board.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? Let's get a roll call vote for items M through Q.
I think it should be L through Q, Chair.
L, I think we've already done L.
Okay, you actually
We
had a
got
vote?
L.
I thought we had a motion in a second. I didn't have a vote down, but maybe so.
Didn't-
Okay,
I don't believe we did, Mr. Chair.
okay, yeah. So for the sake of making sure it is part of our records as voted on, let's go L through Q.
Okay.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Okay, motion carries 9-0. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have some resolutions on the Public Works. Madam Clerk, let's start with R.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 2 final for Integrated Properties LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee, relative to contract number R19006-201, multiple ball field and facility improvements for an increased amount of $19,216 for a revised contract amount of $210,264.04.
Mr.
What's
Chair,
your pleasure? Yes, Mr. Vice Chairman.
move we approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Councilwoman Coonrod,
Burrs.
any further discussion? And Byrd, let me see. And Henderson, he's, okay. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Item S.
A resolution authorizing approval of change order number 1 for Engineered Solutions of Georgia of Marietta, Georgia, relative to contract number Y19009-202, Glenwood YFD Center and other city facility foundation repairs for an increased amount of $14,545.63, plus a contingency amount of $6,000 for all departments for revised contract amount of $74,071.51 for a total amount of $80,071.51.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded.
Oh, there
Any
you go.
further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Item T.
A resolution authorizing administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number W19025-201 to United Elevated Services LLC of Knoxville, Tennessee, 23rd Street Pump Station Elevator Upgrades for a contract amount of $123,565, plus a contingency amount of $12,500 for an amount not to exceed $136,065.
Move
Mr.
to
Chair.
approve.
Okay. Okay, it's been,
I'll second Councilman
okay.
Bird's
It's been
motion.
moved and properly seconded. Thank you, gentlemen, for that. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Let's move now to item U.
A resolution authorizing the City of Chattanooga Stormwater Management to enter into a joint funding agreement, JFA, with the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, and the City of Chattanooga to operate 7 continuous real-time stream gauges located on North Chickamauga Creek, South Chickamauga Creek, Chattanooga Creek, Mountain Creek, Wolfever Creek, Lookout Creek, and Friars Branch for a period beginning April 1, 2020 through March 31, 2021, with a contribution of $10,875 from the USGS, with $86,825 from the city of Chattanooga, for a total cost of $97,700.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Okay, did you want to get a little piece of that, Councilwoman Burrs? I saw your hand.
Me?
Seeing none, it's been moved. It's been moved.
Yeah,
and
sure. I'll second it. Right.
Okay, yeah, your hand was up. I just wanted to make sure I
Oh,
acknowledge you.
no.
With that being said, it's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Council, Madam Clerk, let's now go to V.
A resolution authorizing the city to purchase as is with no warranties from the Board of Parks and Recreation, City of Lafayette, Indiana, an Allen Herschel 32-foot carousel, including 23 horses and related components, for the sum of $19,500, plus the cost of pickup and delivery, collectively the carousel purchase, all of which costs for the carousel purchase will be reimbursed by the Friends of the Zoo.
Councilman Gilbert.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Now we got a couple of items under transportation. Madam Clerk, let's start with W.
A resolution authorizing the administrator of the Department of Transportation to award contract number T19008-201 to Jameson Construction LLC of McEwen, Tennessee, the Bailey Avenue Bridge repairs in the amount of $242,534.50, plus a contingency amount of $24,253.45, for a total project cost in the amount of $260,787.95.
Councilman Byrd.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Councilwoman Coonrod, thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, let's roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. Now let's go to X.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to enter into agreements with L.T. Murphy and Associates, ICE Valuation Group, Carter Appraisal Services, and Michael R. Gray and Company relative to contract number T15026 for appraisal services associated with Midtown Pathway for an amount not to exceed $129,000.
Councilwoman Byrd, followed by Councilman Gilbert.
Yes, thank you, sir. Please note that that's District 5 and 6. And with that, I move we approve it.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded with the carryout of making sure we put District 5 and 6 on there, Mr. City
Yes.
Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, let's do a roll call.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Absolutely. Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
I don't know. Yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion carries 9-0. That concludes this part of our agenda for March 31st. We will now move on to purchases.
Who's going to do our purchases?
Tony?
Tony?
Tony.
Okay, hang on. I got to find Tony.
Mhm.
Need to upgrade Tony.
Tony. Mr. Salmons, you have been allowed to talk as soon as you unmute your mic, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Good evening, members of council.
Good
Hey, man,
evening.
we don't, wait, we don't get a picture?
Um,
Don't worry about it.
How do we know it's you?
Yeah.
you can't recognize my voice.
It sounds like
I
you.
don't know.
There's nothing there for me to click to show the visual.
That's okay, Tony.
All right.
Hey, I had the same problem, Tony, so don't.
Oh, you were just, Tony, you were just put down into the same bracket as Councilman Henderson. You might want to
Yeah.
figure that out.
But I did figure it out too. I want to let you know I figured it out.
With the help
All
of his
right.
wife.
Members of council, we do have purchased this for your review and approval. Just as a reminder, want to let you all know that we are utilizing our revised purchasing report where we have grouped all the new contracts for your review and approval. We have also a separate grouping of all contract renewals for your information. And also tonight, we do have a listing of emergency purchases that were approved by the mayor's executive order. These were not COVID-19 related approvals or purchases, but our regular emergency purchase items, and they were done under the executive order in the absence of council meeting. Starting with the new purchases from the Public Works Department Waste Resource Division. The first item is, excuse me, I'm sorry, started with fire. I'm sorry. The Fire Department's Mobile Communications Division, purchase of Motorola parts and service, being awarded to Motorola Solutions Incorporated for an estimated annual cost of $2 million. The next item from Public Works Fleet Management Division, the purchase of vehicle oils, lubricants, and fluids, being awarded to Hunter Oil Company Incorporated for an estimated annual cost of $60,000. Next from Public Works, Citywide Services Division, services for collection and disposal of household hazard waste, being awarded to MXI Environmental Services, LLC, for an estimated annual cost of $35,000. Also from Public Works, Water Quality Division, services for fish sampling and microinvertebrate identification, being awarded to Centerra Corporation for an estimated annual cost of $50,000. Also from Public Works, Parks Division, golf courses, chemicals for city golf courses and parks, being awarded to Regal Chemical Company, Harrell's, and Simplot for an estimated annual cost total of $92,000. Also from Public Works, Waste Resource Division, we have an increase of authorized expenditure on a blanket contract for new and replacement paving and concrete, being awarded to TNT Concrete LLC for a new total estimated annual amount of $600,000. from the Youth and Family Development Department, Recreation Division, we have the purchase of 7 Woodmill Curve treadmills being awarded to Woodway USA for a total estimated annual cost of $36,099. And last, from the YFD Department, Recreation Division, the purchase of various gym equipment, including Octane Max Trainer, Octane Airdyne, Concept 2, Ski Urge, Body Recumbent, Stepper, Ecliptical, Studio Cycle, and Shin IC Classic, being awarded to Fitness and Exercise Solutions for an estimated annual cost of $25,090. And that concludes the new purchases.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Mr. Chair, I believe we have one hand up there. You might want to check.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Tony, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I know you're just actually probably about, what, quarter of a mile from me. We could probably just throw a rock with a note tied to it at this point. But so first of all, thank you. I did appreciate the new format with more information on the purchases coming through. I found that to be incredible and insightful when you're describing it's almost in anticipation. I think this was mostly on the emergency purchases, but I really would like to encourage more of that in the future because it answered a lot of questions, I think, ahead of time that we often find from the dais. So thank you for that. Excuse me. And I wanted to comment on that. Number 2 was the purchases regarding the ellipticals or the treadmills. Can you explain that just a little bit more for me? I had a hard time understanding that one.
These are exercise equipment that will be in our centers. And we do have a listing of where those are located in the event you'd like that listing. I can send it out to you or whatever your pleasure is.
Sure. If you don't mind, that'd be great. And I'm sure Councilwoman Coonrod's on board with that and is okay with those coming through as well.
Okay.
Yep. Very good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I yield.
Yeah, thank you. Councilwoman Burrs, did you have something?
I moved approval.
Okay, yeah. So
I'll
if
second.
okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, let's do a roll call.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes,
It's 9 yeses.
motion carries on the purchases 9-0. Thank you, Tony. Okay, now we'll move on to other business. Is there any other business the council would like to share this evening?
Here,
Yes,
it's me.
Councilman Mitchell.
Yeah, if the council will bear with me, I have a couple of items I'd like to bring up to the council in other business. The first one being, believe it or not, it's time for elections for city council officers. And I would like to make a motion that we hold those elections April 14th.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second to hold the city council officers leadership election on April the 14th. Is there any further discussion? Okay. You good, Councilman Ledford?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
It's 9 yeses.
Okay, motion carries to hold council election on April the 14th.
And the second
Okay.
item, Mr. Chairman, is
Yes.
very quickly. I'm not trying to get into changing the rules or anything like that, Mr. Attorney, but I believe last week I reached out to you and asked you how short of a notice can we give to public? And where I'm specifically going here is how quickly can the council take action if necessary, if it's related to coronavirus or the crisis we're in right now. And I believe you thought 7 days notice would be about the best we could do there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That the case law in Tennessee is upheld notice saying that it's reasonable if it's done within 7 days or at least 7 days away.
Okay, so we have some rules, and historically, since we've been here, we like to take a little more time with that. But I would like to ask the council to come with me, and if something is related to action we need to take, whether it be some purchases or any type of legislative action, that we try to be able to do that within 7 days because of the emergency conditions we're in right now. And I'll take discussion from the council, opinions or anything. It's up to you, Mr. Chair, to handle that part of it. But I just wanted to ask the council to come with me on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Chair.
Yes, Councilman Byrd.
I'm with Councilman Mitchell. One of the things that kind of concern me that, all those 7 days, our attorney said that's reasonable. Is that reasonable in normal circumstances, or is that reasonable during a pandemic? Because during these times, 7 days can mean someone getting kicked off their home, getting kicked off their job, or even eating or not eating. So is there any special things that we can get done within that 7 days during the fact that we're in a pandemic, or who would we talk to if it's things that have to be done within 2 days or 3 days or something of that nature? I understand the 7 day window to keep people in line, but is there anything during these crises, we're living in different times right now, where we can act even more swift in 7 days?
The mayor has exercised emergency orders in connection with this COVID crisis, and the mayor can execute a new order if there needs to be something done. He's required under law to at least continue that order every 7 days under the rule as well. So if there's something that needs to be done in the interim, it can be done, and then it can also be approved by you by ratification if you wish to do so at the end of that time. But the notification to give people a notice for public meetings normally requires at least 7 days notice. And that's the reason y'all put on your agenda things that are 2 weeks in advance so that you can give people a notice of what's coming up.
Right, and thank you. And I just want to ask this body as well, if what can we do? Because at this time we're living in different times. Our rules and stuff, we do want to handle procedure, we do want to handle the policy and keep things structured as much as possible. But just a lot of people are suffering, a lot of people are hurting and needing supplies or needing things. And if we're in position to give it to it, I just would hate that we would sit and wait just because of policy or things that we're doing to wait for 7 days or 4 days. If we can act swiftly, I would like to do that, if it's okay with you guys.
Okay, we got three hands up. We'll start with Councilman Ledford, then we have Henderson, and then we have Councilwoman Burrs. So Councilman Ledford, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to yield my time. I do support Councilman Byrd's. My question is unrelated.
Okay, well, we'll circle back. Okay. Vice Chairman Henderson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I support Councilman Mitchell's request. The one request that I would have is that we get information concerning whatever that item is as quickly as possible so that we have all the information that we need in order to make an informed decision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes, I totally support that. I think we have the ability or need the ability to be nimble and act quickly. Jerry, I guess I'm asking if there's 7 days notice, then would we have to mention something tonight in order for it to be on the agenda for next week?
Well, to answer your question, I basically just going on what the attorney told me last week. I would have. I'm kind of like Councilman Byrd. Can we do it any more quickly, even though we only have a meeting once a week? So I would leave it up to the council to do that, but I would also support what Councilman Henderson just had. We still have to make informed decisions, and so I guess we can be flexible, but we also got to have something from the administration that gives us as much information as we can have to make that informed decision. So I don't really have a black and white answer for you on that, but I would like to see it even less time if state law in times of emergency would allow that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
May I ask?
Yes, please.
A follow-up?
Yeah, Councilman Burrs, please.
Yeah, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
It would seem to me that given the proper information as my colleagues have requested, I don't know why we can't even be more nimble than 7 days and ratify the actions after the fact. What are your thoughts on that?
I clearly think you can ratify action that is taken by the mayor under his emergency order. That is oftentimes involving issues that have money attached to it, which y'all have to approve based upon your budget that is outstanding. The other issue y'all have to deal with is the Open Meetings Act, which is why the governor actually had to issue an order allowing this meeting electronically to allow this to occur for the public health and safety tonight here by this electronic means. If we hadn't had this order that was issued by the governor on May the 20th, the only way y'all could conduct business would be in a public meeting each Tuesday night here and being able to handle that under those ways. So I believe that the mayor's executive order gives us some flexibility in this time, and y'all can ratify that act at the next council meeting, but you do have to give adequate notice to the public of what you're doing.
Okay, I'm a little unclear as to that answer.
It was an attorney's answer for sure.
Yes.
So here's what I want to know. Is the only way we can act nimbly is to ratify a mayor's executive order?
No, ma'am, you can
if it's
ratify
less than 7 days.
You can ratify action taken by the mayor because he's doing that under his emergency order, and you can do that at your next council meeting that you have. But that requires at least some open meeting discussion by this body after it's been presented to the public.
So
okay, at this point I yield.
Okay, we have Councilwoman Coonrod, and then we have Councilman Gilbert.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Since we previously suspended our rules, once our mayor, declared we was in a state of an emergency, when it comes to emergency allocations to help people, that are in need, do we necessarily have to have a second vote? Because if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. And if we're given all of the information that we're needing to make a sound decision, are we able to move forward on the first vote?
You can do that, ma'am, but you're going to have to do it in a public meeting like we're doing tonight. That is protecting the public and the funds that the taxpayers put in. That's one reason that we have these meetings in public here, and it's required under state law.
Okay. So next Tuesday, there's an item that's coming up that I'm sure everybody's particularly interested in. As a body, if we decide, okay, we want to move forward due to the emergency after giving all the information we need, then that means the mayor can move forward with it without a second vote, right? Because we voted on it.
I'm trying to make sure, are you amending an ordinance or are you doing a resolution? A resolution clearly is only taking one vote. An ordinance amendment will take 2 votes.
Okay.
John Bridger.
Are you good, Councilman Kumar, for the most part? Okay.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure, that come next week that I'm understanding what's happening. I mean, surely I expect to receive more information about it. And I guess once we have our education session about it, then we'll make a decision from there.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, Councilman Gilbert.
Well, I agree with my colleagues. I'm here at this hospital, and this virus is changing not just every day, but every hour. There's issues coming up, different types of issues that wasn't there the day before. So yes, I think that I'm glad the mayor do have that power to act on it really quickly. I think that if we could do it before 7 days, it'd be great, but according to our law, we can't. But this is something different. This is something that in my lifetime has not ever happened like this. And we're in new territory. So hopefully we can start looking at this as new territory. And like Barry said, helping our constituents as much as we possibly can.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Gilbert. Councilman Byrd, I see your hand up.
Yes, sir. At this time, it seems how I'm looking at what we're doing, we're writing history now. Like things are being done to change the course of how life is going to be in a few years from now, and things are not going to be probably the same. Our attorney said public meeting. Right now, I see we have 75 participants on here. I don't know if the news media is here as well, or other lines of social media people that are here. But I think if we continue to promote this Zoom platform, that it's a public meeting and people are publicly here with us right now, listening to us and hearing what is going on. So it seemed like if we make that decision during this public meeting or discuss it during this public meeting, that should cover that. So say if something happened this week, we will be able to move forward with it next week because we're going to have the public meeting right here in public. So I just think we don't have, I think a little bit is overthinking it. And I know that's just my opinion.
Can I speak just a moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, the comptroller's office and your vice chair was right on the front of this to say that anything that you do in these meetings has to be done by roll call vote. That is something that the comptroller of the Treasury issued. It was not in the governor's order that was issued on March the 20th. But that purpose for that order was to be able to allow things to go on that would be audible to the public so that they could be able to see what you're doing as part of the open meetings here. It allows each member to speak and to talk on this format electronically so others can do it. And y'all can look at documents before you get to a meeting to determine where you're going, but all votes have to occur in a public meeting by roll call. That's what the comptroller of the Treasury has said here in connection with how you conduct these meetings. And I believe you can do this and get on to the next meeting and do the same thing in each meeting by discussion this way. I don't believe there's a problem with that under the current law here that's been issued by the governor. But we sort of have to comply with that based upon the Open Meetings Act here in Tennessee. And as long as we do that, the governor has given us that out. That out is only good for a specific period of time, though, here based upon his order, and it expires on May 18th. So we can get used to this format, but unless there's further issues by the governor, this type of public meeting will expire as of May the 18th of 2020.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Ledford, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. So what I'm hearing is we have a lot of concerned leaders who want to do the right thing, and in a record time. These are not normal times. These are great people that I work with on this council and with the administration in the city of Chattanooga. And I think what I'm hearing is if we have to ask for a little forgiveness versus permission in order to fill a need that arises, then I think this body is very capable to do that, following within the rules. But as I watch the news and as we read about this every day and follow this closely, this is normal.
Yes.
I'm looking at Councilman Gilbert, and I'm looking at Councilwoman Coonrod and Councilman Byrd and everybody on this screen, and we care about our city. And if there's a need, I want us to be able to have the flexibility to act. And I think it's there. I really believe that it's there. Mr. Chairman, I do have one more topic conversation. It's about committee meetings next week, but I do not want to interject at this point if this conversation is still going. I yield.
Okay, we'll circle back to that. Councilwoman Coonrod, you still, I see your hand up. You have something else you'd like to say?
Oh, no, that was,
You're good?
yeah.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this topic?
Mr. Chair, I would just like to thank the council and just about everybody participated in this discussion. And I think we moved it down the road a little bit. Not sure where we want to be as a council, other than I think I heard pretty solid support for move as quickly as we can legally. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman Smith, for bringing this up. I think we're going to act swiftly on this because, as each of my colleagues has said, these are extraordinary times, and we need to be nimble. And we don't need to have anything stopping us from serving the citizens of our city who are in need very quickly, without a lot of red tape, without a lot of rhetoric. So we'll get this done. Councilman Ledford, you said you had something you want to circle back to?
Yes, sir. If I don't know if Corey has the controls or if Ken still has the controls, but if
I
John
think Ken's the
Bridger,
man.
if you're able to upgrade John Bridger if he's online, I just want to make sure that we are able to do committee meetings. We have economic and community development next week. We have planning and zoning. I think in this format that we will be able to fulfill those obligations in those committee meetings. I just want to make sure that Mr. Bridger, if he is available to answer that question and be able to present in this format.
John's on, but he's muted.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah, we can.
There you are,
Hey.
John. Hey,
yes.
Go ahead. We've been talking. We've been talking a little bit offline about how to present this and sending out email presentations. But obviously, in this format, are you comfortable with presenting in this particular venue?
Yes, we've already actually had a staff meeting on another topic, and we used a similar situation where we had folks and uploaded a presentation. So I'll be sure to definitely do a couple dry runs before Tuesday's meeting next week. But to keep it simple, I'm going to use PDF, of course, instead of PowerPoint. And I'll be sure to test. If I run into problems, I'll send y'all an email ASAP, but it should be a problem.
Okay, and we have canceled next month's planning commission meeting. And so we have, I think, if I understand correctly, we only have 5 cases to hear in planning and zoning next week. I do not know, Councilman Byrd, if you want to chime in, if you know the items on economic and community development. I don't know if it's a large agenda or not, but so John, you're giving me a thumbs up. You're good?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Ledford. Councilman Byrd.
Yes, sir. I know one of them is the small business plan that they're going to explain to us in ECD at 3:30 on the 7th. So definitely look forward to having people there to hear that. I'm not sure I don't have all my notes here with me. One of the other things this in other business that I wanted to definitely discuss was that I've been getting phone calls about people in the city that are doing and obeying the ordinance to stay away and to shut their businesses down, but they are continually seeing other businesses up and running. I have one Tisdale's Fashion and they were explaining to where another store, their competitor, is still open and doing business. And they were wondering like, hey, if I'm doing the right thing by shutting down like the city asked, how does this person get to continue to stay open? And I think as a body, as a council, we're going to have to figure out a way to address those issues where people are not doing what's being asked of them to do, and so that the people that are doing it, they're not getting punished for doing the right thing. That's one thing, Phil, that's been an issue that I've seen doing this problem. Another issue is some people are calling about different businesses that are not practicing safety around their facilities. And I want to know who would we report to say, hey, we need the sheriff's department, the fire department. I know it will be a health issue to go out and see that these people are practicing safe measures at their facility. I haven't found how to say if a XYZ is not practicing safe measures, who will we report that to? And people are trying to figure out who to report that to. And I don't know if that would be a 311 issue or how that would be. And some people say, well, they called 311 and they didn't get the proper response. I'm not sure how that worked, but we do need to figure that out as much as possible. And outside of that, I also, I just wanted to give a special thanks. I don't know if Lisa and the Carter bus rider, the Carter bus people are here. I just wanted to tell them thank you for the work that they're doing and all the workers for Carter. I see what you're all out here doing. Thank you so much. Just appreciate the work that they're doing, and definitely give a special shout out to all our first responders from the fire department and the police department. Just thank you guys also, and Public Works. Thank you guys so much for what you do.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Byrd. Is there any other business council would like to discuss or bring forward?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I don't know if I have an old agenda or not, but we have an item under other business that relates to sewer late fees. Is that still on the agenda, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir.
No, I can. Yeah, I was just trying to get all this conversation completed. Let everybody get let their voices be heard before we got to that. That's why I want to make sure.
Thank you.
Seeing none, Councilman Mitchell, we'll move on to Mr. City Attorney, the motion to suspend all sewer late fees.
Yes, sir. This was requested initially by Ms. Madison here in connection with sewer late fees that are authorized under the city code. There is an emergency order that has been declared at this point in time, and they didn't think that the late fees should be imposed on individuals if they were closed at that point. So that was one reason that request was being made. There's an ordinance that allows the council to set those late fees under the city code, but she was making that request initially during the pendency of an emergency. We initially had stuff in there about the stormwater fees as well, and that's been removed at this point in time. So the only request that she had on the front was the sewer late fees. I think there's been some discussion back and forth about expanding that, but that was all that Ms. Madison was requesting on the front end.
Okay, we have a couple of hands up. We have Councilwoman Coonrod, you, and Councilwoman Burrs. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair, but my hand was up prior to the discussion on here. I had to come, but I'll yield to Councilwoman Burrs, and then you can circle back around.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes, sir. I move to approve this motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded.
Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt. Carrie asked me to allow him to speak on this issue.
Sure.
Do you have a moment before we vote on it? I don't know if his comments have anything to do with our action.
Absolutely.
I apologize, and thank you so much, Chair. This actually was not on this issue. I was happy to respond to some of the points that Councilman Mitchell and Councilman Byrd had raised about the enforcement and compliance measures. But don't know that I have anything particular to add on this item.
Okay.
And I apologize for the confusion.
Okay, hold that, and we'll come back to you on that matter, Carrie. That
Thank
is
you,
not
sir.
a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Voice vote.
Roll call vote. Yeah, we got it. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Nicole, you're muted.
There you go.
Sorry. Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Okay. Vote carries 9-0 in favor of waiving the
Sewer late
to
fees.
suspend the sewer late fees.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, great. Okay, we're gonna circle back to you, Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. And I was just gonna add on to what Councilman Byrd was saying. And I don't know if Councilwoman Byrd is getting calls of this nature at the Family Justice Center, but more people have been sharing that they're dealing with domestic violence even more so. I've had men and women both to reach out. And then they want to report, but then they're afraid of going to jail and, with all this kind of thing with this pandemic going around. And I think, people shouldn't have to live in fear or live in their homes being fearful of, getting beat for the day, even kids. So I don't know, is there any messaging or any information that we can put out to make people feel safe, or a number maybe that they can call that'll, maybe they can sneak in the bathroom and call without their partner finding out about it, or, to make sure that they're getting the help that they need.
Are you directing that at Councilwoman Burrs or anybody?
Anybody, so I can know how to better serve my constituents when they call. I most definitely wouldn't want, a tragic event to happen because of it.
Okay, Councilwoman, I see Councilwoman Burrs' hands and Vice
Yeah.
Chairman Henderson. Okay,
I think-
Councilwoman Burrs, then Vice
Yes.
Chairman.
Councilwoman, I think those are valid concerns. Whenever the economy goes south and the normal ways of expressing energy, if you will, are shut down, domestic violence goes up. I know the police department is doing a very good job. And I think, Councilman, Mr. Chair, perhaps if we could hear from Chief Roddy. I know the Special Victims Unit is up and running and doing as much as they can. And I know that these are being addressed. I think we deserve to know the details, what's up and running. And I think the best place for that to come from is Chief Roddy, because I know the work is being done. So I would request that report. And thank you, Councilwoman. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, we'll get a hold of Chief Roddy and get him scheduled to come and speak to us at our one of our 2 o'clock or even 3:30 meeting. Is that good, Councilwoman Coonrod?
That's good. Thank you.
As a start, I know it's just a start, but like you said, we got to be proactive and we got to act with priority to things like this. Yeah, Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I believe Kerry might be able to provide you some information on that. He's right below. If you allow him to speak on that, he can tell you a little bit of information.
Okay, wait a minute, Vice Chairman, was your hand up related to this topic?
Not related to this topic. Go ahead,
Okay.
and let Carrie speak, and then I've got a
Circle
question.
back when we through.
I've
with
got
this.
a question for Carrie as well.
Okay, excellent. Carrie, you have the mic.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I was just looking back in my email because this question had come about a week or so ago about what the Family Justice Center is still doing as it relates to domestic violence cases and victims. And I'm happy to retrieve that because I know that they are still doing as much as they can in terms of case management for victims and people that are in that situation. So I'm happy to find the memo that I had and circulate that to you all, so you can see exactly what they are still doing to support people. I also happen to know that orders of protection have been extended. Those that were set to expire this month, I believe, have been extended through the end of April. If that's right, Phil. So
Yes.
some precautions are being taken by the court system. We're doing as much as we can within our administrative capability to make sure that victims are supported through this time. But I certainly agree, and you're right to raise the issue that it is very concerning as more people are in this situation, that we need to be concerned about how to take care of that. So if you'll give me a day, I'm happy to try to find out the exact information and circulate that to you all.
Mr. Chair, it looks like Chief Roddy is on with us if you want to.
I just added him.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Chief, how you doing? Well, I think he's, let me see.
He's muted. There he is.
Yeah, okay. Chief.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening. You've been listening to the conversation, Chief. Anything you can add to the domestic violence piece that we were just discussing?
Yes, absolutely. And in regards to the questions and comments that Councilwoman Coonrod brought up, we have been paying very particular attention to what those numbers look like. I'm not prepared to sit here and give you those overall numbers right now, but we are going to prepare something so that you all as a council understand what is going on in our city from a data perspective. But I also want to assure you all that we started this conversation as this was unfolding in the first days with our victim services unit, as well as our special victims unit, to maintain the case management protocols that they have of contacting victims and staying in contact with victims from previous incidents, so we can make sure that they are supported, they don't have any questions, they're getting the help that they need. So that case management has been adhered to through our database with our victim services unit. Also, what, if I can impress upon you, when it comes to dealing with a domestic violence call, especially Councilwoman Coonrod in your question, if there are individuals that are in fear, the officer's response to that type of call has not changed. It's still required by TCA that a primary aggressor, if identified, shall be arrested. That's the language written into the law. So our officers will respond just like that. It is still a custodial arrest. An individual that is abusing or harming a loved one, and it is shown on the call, that officer captures that and we're able to prove that perpetrator will still be placed in custody and will be still taken to the Hamilton County Jail. That is not changing. We're not doing citations for that. We're not turning a blind eye to it. We are dispatched, we will respond, and as the TCA says, we shall make an arrest if we're able to. So we will get you some more informational points to help you have those conversations, as well as some of the supporting phone numbers, contacts, things they can do, whether that is through the FJC or any other partnerships that we have, so you have an actual formal document to help you answer those questions. And if there's anything else that I haven't expanded upon well enough right now, please let me know.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey,
Thank
Chairman.
you, Chief.
Chairman, before Chief
Yes.
goes. Chief Roddy, you still there?
Yes, sir.
In other cities around the country, we have heard reports of relaxed enforcement, and I know that you and I have had offline conversations. Can you tell or share a little bit about what we are doing, what we are not doing, if we have taken the foot off the throttle, if we have not taken the foot off the throttle enforcement-wise? Is it business as usual for CPD?
It's not necessarily taking a foot off the throttle. What we have encouraged our officers to do, to seek other discretionary means that would lower the incarceration rate of individuals that we find that might be running contrary to the law. So if they have the ability to issue a citation in lieu of arrest, which allows them to cite an individual on a state charge, however, that individual is not taken into a custodial situation, please do so. If they have the ability to use their discretion relative to traffic offenses, if it's a warning as opposed to a written citation, so an individual may not receive a citation that would require a court appearance. Things like that that we're trying to do to get the officers, and they're doing a phenomenal job of it, to understand there's other mechanisms in place that we really need to utilize right now in this crisis to change individuals' behavior, to address any violations of the law or city code, but it doesn't always have to go into a custodial situation. And the officers are doing exactly that. We have worked through some considerations with Sessions Court and Sessions Court judges in the last few days, where they're working towards the issuance of a criminal summons as opposed to a custodial arrest as well in very specific misdemeanor cases. So all of these are multi-layers that have been applied to the police department and our law enforcement and judicial partners to lower the level of incarceration, but not turning a blind eye to individuals that are breaking the law. Those are still being addressed.
Very good. Thank you for that update, and please tell everyone that we are praying for them, their safety, and our firefighters and our first responders and paramedics. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Ledford. Councilman Byrd, did you have something?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chief Roddy, thank you for all that you're doing, the work that you're doing. And I say this very hesitantly because I definitely respect you and in the police department 1,000%. But I do receive phone calls about that. If we can be more, and I say hesitant, but if we can pay attention to how we're incarcerating people at this point during this crisis, can we please continue to exercise, putting people in jail for really minor, non-violent, crazy offenses? So many people were reaching out saying, hey, these things and the precautions and stuff that we're taking now, we're doing it because of this virus. This just goes to show that we could have been doing these things as a society, as a country. You hear this all the time. And so when people, even the people that are listening to us now, when they hear us make these types of statements that we're doing things to help the community or to make sure that we're not locking as many people up or, doing business this way, it kind of puts a bad taste in some people's mouth to make them feel like, hey, if you can do that thing, you could have been doing this. And I just want to make sure that we can address the people and let them know, how the process is happening now and, why we're doing it differently and why things are going on.
My response to that, sir, is we're doing it differently because we're in the middle of a crisis.
Exactly.
I don't believe that things will stay this way. We also have issuance orders from judges telling us that we will move to a criminal summons platform in order to lower the incarceration rate. So I guess the response would be, if we want to get into the specifics of over incarceration relative to certain crimes, then those certain crimes need to have a different standing within the Tennessee Code annotated. We are not encouraging officers to turn a blind eye to criminal activity. We're just trying to find different ways to hold people accountable for that same activity that is against the law. So if there are other mechanisms relative to bond settings or how a magistrate set bonds or everything else, welcome those conversations, but those actions are not in the police department's lane.
Okay. And I definitely appreciate that and understand definitely where you're coming from. It's just hard to explain to people, especially constituents and people that are even listening to us now, that with the whole mass incarceration or how things are going, and we have people that commit very violent crimes, but just in some of the poor communities, people, get locked up and people go to jail. And so people just feeling a little uneasy, and I've had several shootings here just in my community over the past 2 weeks that have been very traumatizing. And I just want to make sure that we just could send out a positive message to people and let them know that, we do still care whether this coronavirus is going on, especially after this virus is over with.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Councilman Byrd. We have Council Vice Chairman Henderson, and then we have Councilwoman Comerine. So, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I want to circle back to our other business item, sewer fees. So if Councilwoman Coonrod's topic has to do with what we've been talking about, let's get that conversation completed before we go back.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Chair. But Byrd, I get those same calls too, but I think it's important as leaders that we let our constituents know that you have to follow the law, right? You just can't go out breaking the law because you feel as if this time, well, I'm gonna get a citation or they're not gonna take me to jail because they're being lax. And we can't condone people breaking the law. And I know sometimes that's hard for us to do, considering the communities that we, that we're advocating for, we're over. But at the end of the day, the police department is there to protect and serve our communities. And if they're violating any laws, then they're gonna have to do their job. And if that means arresting them and taking them to jail, we gotta hold our constituents accountable for their behaviors, right? And right now we are in a crisis, so therefore they shouldn't be outside committing crimes unnecessarily with the thought in their mind that we're just gonna get a slap on the wrist, because then we're saying go out there and do crime because we're gonna ask Chief Roddy not to take you to jail. Right. So we just have to make sure that we're leading in the right way. And I mean, we show our constituents that we love them every day. And I just said what I said out of love. I don't want anybody to have to go to jail, but if you out here breaking the law, and I'm the biggest advocate for criminal justice reform, but at the same time, as a leader, I'm gonna have to hold you accountable. So I'm appreciative of all the work that the police department is doing, and our first responders and everybody. So Chief Roddy, you most definitely got my full support, and my, just as well as I, advocate and take a stand for my constituents for doing the right things, I'm gonna do the same thing for my police department. So.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Is there anything else while we have Chief Roddy? Okay, thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate you sharing with us that information and being on this call, if you will, tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chairman, we can circle back to you on the sewer fees thing.
Thank you, sir. And it had to do with an item that we just voted on. I wanted to come back to that. And Chief, if you don't mind unmuting so we can have a conversation. But as you know, earlier today, I had talked to you about waiving the minimum sewer fees during the mayor's order to close these small businesses is in effect. And I felt like it would show all these small businesses that we are in this together with them by waiving the fees. And you felt like that it could be detrimental to our sewer consent decree if we did. And then you indicated that there was going to be some funds available through the Small Business Stabilization Fund. And I guess what I want is some kind of guarantee or some kind of assurance that all of these businesses, all these small businesses that are affected by having to close will have access to these funds and will be able to have help with these bills. And even though they may be small, they're going to accumulate. And I think what our small businesses are going to be facing here in the next month or two, some of them it could be devastating for. And I just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can as a city to let them know that we're in this with them.
Yeah, certainly. And I appreciate that, and appreciate the your interest in trying to make sure that we're doing as much as we can to support a lot of the businesses that we know are really going to be struggling for the next few months, probably. So the Small Business Stabilization Fund program that we've set up, that you all will consider some of the resources for next week, is meant to do exactly this, to try to make sure that where there are revenue shortfalls, we're able to step in with some cash that can come as quickly as possible to try to address some of that. We do believe that is a more efficient and thoughtful way to try to help people through this period than to eliminate the minimum sewer fee, the connection fee that they currently pay. That does start to, as you say, potentially affect our compliance with the consent decree. The revenues from that, those core fee revenues do go to fund the operations at the treatment plants. It starts to jeopardize our ability to borrow from the state revolving loan fund. There's just some continuing unintended consequences that might follow from that if we were to take that step that is extremely hard to implement. This is not a comment on the quality of the idea or the fairness of what we're talking about, but as a practical matter, it's probably not a step that you want to take, particularly if we have a program in place that we think can help people a little more directly and a little more quickly with the revenue shortfalls that they're going to be experiencing.
Well, and I heard everything you said, but I don't think you completely answered my question. Will everyone affected have access to these funds?
Everyone affected.
That we closed, the businesses that we closed.
We are asking those businesses to reach out to us if they need our assistance, and we'll follow up with them and see exactly what they need. So I'm more than happy to promise that anyone that reaches out to us will have a conversation with to see exactly what we can do to help them. I can't necessarily, I'm not going to be able to proactively mail a check to every business that has had to close under the terms of the order, but certainly we're doing everything we can to let people know that the resources are going to be there and we want to help them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman Henderson. Okay, is there anything else related to other business?
Well, I do have a question, Chair. Now,
Yeah.
Carrie, I understand the fee, if, whether we vote on it or not, but are they delaying cutoffs for sewer? I know the Tennessee American Water Company has, but if your sewer bill get behind, are they shutting off the sewer?
No, we're suspending disconnections during this period.
Okay.
Okay, great. That's good news, because I get that one all the time about the sewer more than anything, really.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Anything else while we have Carrie on the mic?
Chairman?
Yeah, okay, Councilman Ledford.
Carrie, since you're on here and this topic has come up, can you prepare maybe a one-pager of what the city's is doing and not doing so that we can share that throughout the community? Like more simplified version when it comes to some of these questions that have been brought up this evening.
Certainly, with respect to the small business.
Small business and personal homes. I think it would be just a quick one-pager saying this is what our city is doing.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
contact information. I mean, just a one-pager PDF, I think, would be something we could all share around to a lot of people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy to do it.
Right. Thank you. I yield, Chairman.
Okay. Is there anything else related to other business before we get to committee reports?
Is it, Chair?
Yes.
Real quick, is it possible for Phil, you know how when we go to recognize people that wish to address the council, for a little while these are going on in the beginning, but when we start our meeting, is it also okay for our city attorney or yourself or someone to let people know that although they're raising their hands and on this thread, that we are going to handle the business first and then allow them to speak later, because people kind of feel we're being disrespectful and not recognizing them. But the fact of it is we handle the business first of the city, and then after we handle the business, and then at the end of our agenda, we do recognize people who want to speak to us. And I just think as this process is going on, by it being so new, if we can explain that in the beginning of our meetings, so people understand that we're not ignoring them, but we're just doing the business, and they will be recognized, or we will answer any questions toward the end, or
Yes,
we will
sir.
hear from them at the end.
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to talk about that a little bit here before I do the response this evening for people giving an opportunity to speak this evening.
Okay, now this evening we're not doing it this evening. That will start back up next week.
Well, I will produce, I'll at least talk a little bit about what the Attorney General has said, or the Comptroller's Office has said concerning that, so people will understand.
Okay, so we can address that right after we do committee reports, and then we can circle back and you can share that information with our constituents. So
sure.
If there's no other business, let's move to committee reports. Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. This has been a great, it's been a great meeting, and you've worked hard. Thank you. As I said earlier today, financially, the city's in good shape. we're strong financially, and we don't need to be afraid of doing the things that need to happen to help our constituencies, many of the people that were just spoken about earlier. We have the luxury of being flexible finance-wise. We need to figure out how we can do it in reality, as Councilman Mitchell spoke about, and be substantive in our decision-making. One thing that I do need to make you aware of, Mr. Chair, and whoever follows you, is that the budget process will change. Although we're very solid now, income projections are very fluid at this time. And so we will be working hard to bring to the council a process that makes sense given the ever-changing times. And I'll be happy to answer any questions either on now or online, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Burrs. Okay.
Chairman?
Yeah.
Dr. Burrs,
Yes.
are we still on target for our projected date to receive the budget, or has any indications been made that that will change?
Right now, we're on the projected date to do it. As I'm saying right now, remember, a budget also has to take projected income, and those are the models that are still being worked on. As a matter of fact, I'm to understand that the governor has just asked Vanderbilt just recently for projected models for revenue. So we're not very far behind the times, but we have to have a balanced budget. And so it's not a matter of holding out on anything. I think there's going to have to be a lot of massaging of the budget, and that is for 2021. Right now, we're good. We're great. The monies that we're spending and that you all are approving are monies that are already there. And as I said earlier, our chief financial officer has done a great job of spending only what's necessary. I can't promise the 15th because of the revenue end of it, and because what we're doing now is constantly fluid. But Councilman, I will keep the council up to snuff as we go along. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your hard work. You unearthed my my intent.
Okay.
Councilwoman Burrs, is snuff that stuff you put in right here? Is that what snuff is?
Let's move on to committee reports, please. Councilman Byrd.
Yes, sir. Next Tuesday, we will have an ECD committee meeting at 3:30 about small business programs to assist companies affected by the business closures caused by the mayor's executive orders. So please, everyone, join us for that committee meeting at 3:30 ECD.
Thank you, Councilman Byrd.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Kumrai.
I just want to report that the Office of Family Empowerment, they're still helping people. So if anybody need any kind of assistance, reach out to Yolanda Johnson or anybody that's over there, Rachel or anyone, and you can call them at 423-643-6434. Please do not get behind on your bills and everything. Let's try to, stay caught up on everything. Please reach out. Do not hesitate to connect to these resources.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Gilbert.
No report.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chairman Henderson.
No report.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chairman. Planning and Zoning will meet next Tuesday, immediately following the agenda session electronically.
Great. Thank you, sir. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am going to hold off because we've already got 2 committee meetings next week. But in 2 weeks, April 14th, we will resume the Public Works and Transportation Committee meetings. But I would ask the council, take a look at next week's agenda, because we haven't had a committee meeting to go over those. And if you have some questions, contact Public Works or Transportation to try to get some answers as best they can give us, so you can make informed decisions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no report for committee, but I do have a quick follow-up question for Councilman Ledford regarding planning and zoning and the process we're going to be following. Since planning and zoning may or may not include individuals other than John, we just need to make sure that everybody understands what this format may be and how they will be able to engage with committee. It's generally just the administration, but we'll definitely want to make sure to get it out there, depending on how long we're doing these meetings, as what it's going to take for opposition and for the applicant to speak on some of these cases. I think I've got a good idea technically how to handle it on our side, but we do need to make sure that we are communicating that. I don't know that that'll be the case during the committee, but I definitely wanted to bring that up just in case.
That is a great question, Councilman, and I appreciate your thinking of that in that respect. Friday, John has pledged me to have the reports ready to send out to everyone. There are 5 cases that are coming into the agenda. I believe we have only, from my knowledge to this point, 1 opposition on 1 case in my district. And that's the only opposition that I know of currently, but as you know, these things are fluid. But we will address that in the proper way. And Phil, I might have to reach out to you to make sure that opposition has their pipeline for reaching us, to make sure that the cases are scheduled to come out on Friday from John Bridger.
Yes, sir.
And sorry, let me follow up with one
Sure.
thing. Other than planning and zoning, matter of fact, next week, the short-term vacation rentals were deferred to next week's meeting. So Phil, I don't know how either it's your office or whomever needs to contact the applicants and any opposition for those cases and let them know that they can dial in, and we're going to have to kind of walk through how we allow those individuals to engage during that conversation. So that is happening as soon as next week, at least on those couple of cases.
Yes, sir. I think that'll be your trial run on how things will work with interaction here next week. And I know that notice went out by the Land Development Office, at least for the applicants for that and the people that were in opposition last week, to give them at least a week in advance notice.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And one final thing, Phil, Mr. Chair, Nicole, we need to get information out there to everybody. I would like to request this, if not require it, based on what I'm dealing with on this side. Technically, if you wish to be a part of this conversation or raise your hand or even have any kind of acknowledgement, I would like to, at the very least, have a first and last name. We've got attendees in here, obviously, that the issue we dealt with earlier, we will find a technical solution to. However, even people that may be wanting to speak, if all I see is a last name or initials, I have no idea who that is in order to select them in order to be able to speak. So that just may be one of a rule that we have, Phil. I mean, I'll lean to your judgment on that, that, you know, if you ever wish to be acknowledged, that we at least need your full information. I mean, we ask for a lot more than that when you come to the mic. So in this process, when you connect, we at the very least need clear information on who you are.
At a minimum, in your rules in the past, unless you've suspended all your rules, you would require someone to state that they are their full name and their address whenever they come to the podium. So that's one of the things I think would be useful, and that should be required before someone submits a chat.
Okay, and I just want to make sure that it is, Phil. So if you would specify that maybe at the beginning of the next meeting,
Yes.
As Councilman Byrd pointed out, some of the other kind of things that we're figuring out during this meeting that we want to make sure to point out, that during our meeting, if we do allow, like right now, attendees can't raise their hand. But next week, especially with public hearing, we're going to have to allow that. So when we do, we can allow it at the end of the meeting, or we can allow it just during the times where we have public comment. But please make sure, Phil, in any opening comments about that people understand that it's only during those sessions that we're engaging with the public and why they may not be able to raise their hand during the rest of the meeting.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Smith.
Mr. Chair, before we go on, I've got
Yes.
a question for Councilman Smith. You mentioned the fact that short-term vacation rental applicants will need to be on next week. Would they need to hop on at 5:30 to try to work out any kinks before we go live?
I'm happy to be on here, Councilman, at 5:30 next week if anybody would like to. I'll be here. I can't obviously require them, and,
Yeah,
and again,
yeah.
I'll kind of lean to Phil and whoever else that needs to put those notices out. I'm happy to be here ahead of the meeting and look for those.
Phil, could you let them know that they could hop on at 5:30 and try to work out the kinks before we go live?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Oh, Bird, you got something?
Oh, just thank you guys. This was amazing.
Yeah.
The first time we did it, we made history. It was awesome. I just love you guys. Y'all are an amazing group of people. Thank you so much.
Love you too, but somebody I'm really loving on now is Councilman Smith for the leadership he's put in to make this happen,
Good job.
as well as the IT department, the
Thank you, the IT
administration,
department. Appreciate Corey, Brent, and
you,
everybody.
yeah, but it's about a team effort, and that's what this is all about. And you can see the fruits of what happens when people work together for a common goal, and this is an example of it. I'm really excited about the results of tonight. We've gone a lot longer than I thought, but I only thought that because I thought we would run into some glitches. But as I said, you know, whatever happens was going to be successful, and this was showing what you can do in challenging times to make sure that we're serving our constituents and getting the word out and communicating to the best of our abilities, because that's what we're here for. If there's no other business, I just want to ask for a continuous prayer for our world, our country, our state, and our city during this crisis. And as I've said all along, this is a season. And with patience and perseverance and us working together and doing what we need to do, primarily the social distancing piece and you know, keeping things sterilized and just following the CDC standards, you know, we will get over this. It may not seem like it at time, but we cannot let fear overcome our optimism in moving forward and maintaining our society. So if there's no other questions or comments, we are adjourned until April the 7th.
Yes.
All right,
Good
see
job,
you.
everybody.
See you then.
Thank you all.
Everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, bye everyone.
See y'all.
See y'all.
Have a good week.
Y'all do the same. Do the
You
same,
too.
Carol.
Love and prayers.
Love and prayers. Yes.